Tonight's subject is about dropping hooks. Now, there's two types that I can think of dropping hooks. There's the one where you're a power only, which means I have a tractor, and I go to a load board and I find a to where you can move empty trailers. Uh, Suppose like I'm in Chicago, I can pick up a trailer in Chicago and say it goes to St. Louis, and it pays $200. But the difference is, hold on one second. The difference is, you go to a load board, you find an empty trailer going like from Chicago to St. Louis, pays only $200, but you have the trailer for say 7 days. So that means I find me a load in Chicago going to Iowa. Go and deliver a load in Iowa. I find a load from Iowa going to someplace, Wisconsin. Then I find a load out of Wisconsin going back out to Iowa. Then I deliver my loads, and then when I'm done and I'm back in Iowa, I go ahead and drop that trailer back where the destination is. So I got to use the trailer for free, and I get $200 for it. I made 3 moves, made another, $3,000. So I had a good week, and I didn't have a trailer. Those are dropping hooks. But then there's other kind of dropping hooks. Like if you're a carrier and if you're a carrier and you're registered with say JB Hunt or Schneider and some of the others that have drop and hook services, you're considered power only, which is a tractor only, and you use their load board to pick loads from Chicago to say Ohio. So I go to Chicago someplace, I pick up a load, I go to Ohio, I drop it and pick up an empty. So now I'm ready for my next dispatch. So I look on the load board and I find a load and these are, I'll just say JB Hunt for instance. So I'll go to JB Hunt's load board and I find a load that's where in the area where I drop my load at. I go over there with my empty, I drop my empty, I grab the load, going to Kentucky. I go down to Kentucky, I drop that load in Kentucky, I pick up an empty out of the same place. So wherever you drop that load, you get an empty. Or if you go in there with a load, you drop and you get an empty. So you drop in Kentucky, you get your empty trailer, you look on the load board, and there's one out of Kentucky coming back to Chicago. So I go and drop and hook, drop my empty, grab that load, go to Chicago, drop the load, grab my empty, come back to my yard, come home and party over the weekend. Those are dropping hooks. Do they pay as much as dropping hooks if I use a trailer from a trailer pool and do a dropping hook? No. But the difference is, if you get that rented trailer, if you get that free trailer for, say, that trailer going out to Iowa, every load you pick up, you have to wait 2 hours, or wait whatever it takes to load you, unload, wait an hour to 2 hours or more to get unloaded. Then you go to your next place, you pick up, load time, then you deliver it, unload time, back. So you're going to have some hours invested in that kind of a drop and hook. Where if JB Hunt or Schneider, there is no wait. I go in there, I drop, I grab an empty, and I go. So does the loads pay as much? No. But they pay fair enough and you keep moving. And I think based on time and how many you can do a week, there's a possibility I can make more. I'm pretty sure you could make more money. And you don't have to sit around and wait. Now sometimes when you have dropping hooks, it depends on the load you pick, because you pick from your customer's load board, like JB or Schneider's load. I guess Schneider has that. You make sure that you pick up something that's a 24-hour pickup and a 24-hour delivery. Because on most dropping hooks, there's no appointment. There's a day appointment. You got to be there tomorrow. You got to pick the load up sometime tomorrow. and deliver sometime the next day. And a lot of those places you can pick it up on the same day and deliver it the same day. And if you plan yourself out right, you can keep moving and you can make some money. I've made quite a bit of money doing that, and it's for me. I prefer that because I'm moving. I'm not sitting 2 hours. And if you end up getting, you normally don't get stuck at those kind of places. I mean, you really don't, unless somehow they screwed up on the scheduling or something like that. But as a rule, they don't do that. So you keep moving. I mean, you can make quite a bit of money if you keep at it. And you got the only thing is you got to do is you got to make sure that you plan your loads. If you're going to pick up in Chicago and you're going to Columbus, you need to look on the load board and pick a load out of Columbus right where you're going. Go into your next triangle spot and see if there's a load from there, because you don't want to route yourself to some place where there's no backhaul or there's not a haul going somewhere. And most of the time they're pretty good. They're most drop and hook situations where there's the loads there, but make sure you kind of plan it out a day or so ahead of time. If you do that, you can't keep moving. So I mean, and you don't get stuck too often. But sometimes they might not have a drop and hook load where you're delivering. Like say that load went to Kentucky. When I got down there and I got my empty, there was no more drop and hook loads right there. They had loads, but maybe it was a 7 o'clock appointment to where I had to go and get loaded. And then I fall underneath the same rules as if I had a trailer. But most of the time you try not to get those kind of pickups, but sometimes you don't have a choice. So then maybe on the other end's a drop and hook. So you got to get loaded in Kentucky, but when I get back to Chicago, it's just a drop and hook. So I mean, it kind of makes up for it. You do sometimes. So I'd probably say that most of those drop and hook situations like that, it's probably 75 or 80% drop and hook, and then you might have the other is you have to live load or maybe a live unload. Maybe it's a drop and hook pickup, but it's a live unload. Sometimes. So I mean, so as far as revenue goes, I mean, you could make good revenue doing that. But the bad part about dropping hooks where you're using trailer pools is if you get stuck with that trailer, it might be hard to, like say for instance when I did that triangle, I went to Iowa, I delivered a load from Chicago to Iowa, then I went to Wisconsin, I took a load to Wisconsin. What happens if you get up in Wisconsin and they don't have anything going back to Iowa? All they got is maybe a Pennsylvania. And there's no other loads. I mean, you don't want to really deadhead out of there, and the deadhead back to Iowa is not profitable. So maybe you say, well, let me take a chance on this, and I'll grab that load going out to Pennsylvania. And I get out in Pennsylvania, there's nothing going directly back to Iowa, so I get one maybe going to Tennessee, and then from Tennessee I'm going to try, you know what I mean? So you got 7 days to 10 days, and it depends on the trailer pool to work that. And to me, it's a little frustrating and it's hard. And usually you're moving new trailers, which is okay, but any damages you might get or incur on those trailers, you're going to eat that. Where when you're dropping a hook for Schneider and other, I mean, I don't know, your chances are if there's a little stuff going on the trailer, it's not going to get put on you. But if you're using a trailer pool and that's a brand new trailer, they inspect that stuff when they bring it back, and they go, oh, you got a flat tire, that's on you. So there's so that got to kind of be selective on that. And I haul sometimes for JB Hunt, and I do like that compared to the others. I haven't tried some of the others. I know you can do drop and hooks kind of with container work, but then you got to deal with the container yards, and some of the container heavyweights can be pretty good. So it's depending. So power only it could be profitable, especially when there's no trailer payment involved. But your trailer, the drop and hook service that you get, sometimes they're not gonna give you 10%. Like if you had that trailer, if you were using a trailer pool, most time you get paid, you get 90%. As a carrier, you get 90% or somewhere up in there. And then you get $200 when you drop that trailer at the final destination. So it's possible that you're going to make more money doing that. I mean, I remember doing that, and I had a guy dispatching me, so I did pretty damn good. I was making some good money. like I said, sometimes I would get stuck, or um, some of those loads are kind of heavy. You have no choice if you get into a situation where you're in an area where the next load is a beer load. You know what I mean? It's 45,000 pounds, and I mean normally you got a new trailer when you're using the trailer pools. So I mean you really don't have to worry about DOT snagging as long as your tractor's in fairly decent shape. So, but I mean, for me, so drop and hook as a power owner, you can do okay. I mean, depends on what service you're going to do. You know, like I said, I did both, and I liked working for a big carrier better. I think first of all they have more freight, and number two, uh, there's less wait time, and I think wait time's eating money. And I hate to sit in the truck all the time. Every time I get loaded, you got to wait 2 hours, and every time you get unloaded, 2 to 6 hours. I mean, even though you'll get the tension, you know, and stuff like that, and then the other thing is that if you're doing the type um, with the load boards and the trailer pools, you're using brokers. You're going through brokers, so. If you're using a factoring company, your factoring company, you have to get credit approval before you use that guy. They got to be rated kind of high, not kind of high, but they got to be rated. The broker's got to be rated pretty decent in order for you to take their freight, or your factoring company won't want to factor you. So I mean, there's a lot of extra stuff in that, to where if you're working with a carrier that you've been working for a while. Yeah, I don't have that issue. I don't have that headache either, because I don't have to check their credit every time I pull their load. I do them all the time, so I don't have that. So there's an advantage to that, and I would recommend doing that kind of drop and hook if that's what you want to do. Um, I like I said, you'll probably make a little bit more with the other way, but there's a lot more headaches in that too. Like I said, you gotta submit your insurance every time to the broker. You gotta wait. You gotta check the credit of the broker. And then you got to get the acknowledgement back from the broker in order to go get the load, and then you got to pick up and deliver, you know, wait times and stuff. So I mean, think about that. I mean, that's why some people are frowning on doing drop and hooks. There's two types, so that I know that I can't think of a third one unless maybe you consider container. But the only thing with containers is you might go from Chicago to Iowa. Get empty, or you load either way, and then you come back to the rail. So it's not really a drop and hook kind of. It could be, because some of the containers you go out there, you'll drop it and there will be an empty there. I know JB Hunt has container stuff like that, but I don't know the ratios. I don't know what they pay or anything like that. I've never done that for them. I've done some stuff for Dre now and stuff, and it was pretty good. But so for me, drop and hook, to use trailer pools, I'm not a fan of that. But if you work for a large carrier, I think that'll work pretty good. If you have any questions, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can bring more of these recordings to you and help you understand some of my experiences. I've been in this business now since 67. I know I'm only 28 now, so how does that figure? I don't know. But anyway, so that's my version of the drop and hooks. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll answer you right away, because I check my mail very often. Peace, and be safe.